Hello! In this video we are going to be talking a little bit about the spirituality and religion, and I'm going to share with you my experience of reading extremely dangerous religious book when I was younger, and what it taught me later on about life, about spiritual gurus, about not trusting people who knows everything, and so on. So the book was called Abd-ru-shin, in the light of truth, and I was reading this book maybe when I was 19 or 20. I was very quickly raised as a Christian, and until I was 16, 17, I was like believing in Christianity, partially not, but I was going regularly to the church. And when I was 18, I stopped going to church, and yeah. Ever since my childhood, I was extremely interested in all of these secrets, like, is there a soul, is there afterlife, where did life come from, where did humans come from, are there aliens, how can universe be infinite, is it infinite, and so on. So my mother told me when I was older that when I was young, I would always ask these kind of questions and so on. So I was someone who was really interested and curious about the secrets of the universe. But yeah, I was raised as a Christian. I was 18. I stopped going to church, and basically I didn't have any perspective about the universe. And I didn't mind that much back then, because, I was 18, I was more interested in going out with the friends and drinking alcohol and girls and so on than the universe, Back then, if you would tell me that you can give me a girlfriend or you can show me pictures of aliens, I would be really hesitating which one would I want. but yeah. My mother, she had from some friend this book, Abd-ru-shin, in the light of truth, and it was like a big book which, in some way reminded me of a Bible, and I started to read the book. And it was extremely dogmatic. The author basically, he positioned himself as the highest authority in the universe. You need to follow every single instruction that he is giving you. You do not need to, or you cannot read other books, only his book, because his book contains everything, and other books cannot give you anything, because everything is only and only in his book, and so on. I was young, I was naive, he was very convincing, and when I was reading this book, it was I was very conflicted in myself, because on one side it was like it was too much and I was disagreeing with him too much. On the other hand, it was someone who was promising me to tell me all secrets about the universe, how it started, why it started, what will happen after death, and so on. So I was reading it, and it was like this inner conflict. Is this true or is it not true? It wasn't like you can partially take something. It was like you either believe everything or not. But more and more that I was reading, I was, it was more and more convincing, and yeah. Very quickly, what maybe he was talking about in the book One thing that he was doing, he was he was critiquing religious, he was critiquing Christianity, like he was critiquing basically everything, but mostly Christianity, and he was saying like, for example, when people are in the church, they are sad, and that you cannot be sad in the church, that in a church you should be most happy, most joyful, because you are celebrating the greatest God and so on, and it should be like complete celebration and so on. And basically it was a long time ago, so I don't remember exactly everything, but he was critiquing basically everything that Christianity is doing. For example, he was critiquing how small Christians are picturing God. He was telling that God is millions and trillions and quadrillions times more than what Christians are imagining. He was like critiquing this, that your image of God is so extremely small and it is so much bigger and so on. Other thing that he was talking about a lot was this kind of karma or something. He was describing this as this kind of net, like spider net, like every single action, every single thing, every single thought that you have is creating these little lines, and they are like making the knots. And from your past you have so many knots, and you need to like clear or repair every single thing that you have ever did. And while you are doing this, you are creating new ones. And basically he put it the heaven as a place that is humanly impossible to get. Like no matter what you would do would be bad. Like there was there was no way to be that perfect of a human being as he was telling that you need to be. It was like if there is 8 billion people in the world, on the planet, maybe 17 will get to the heaven or so on. But basically he wanted like you to believe every single page, every single word and everything. It was even forbidden to read the book in wrong order. You cannot read the book from the middle or something. You need to read it exactly line by line, letter by letter. If you go read somewhere in the middle, you will automatically go to the hell and so on. So it was extremely strict to everything. Luckily for me, I did not find any other people who was reading the same book, because if I would find other people, I would probably end up in this kind of secta or this kind of religious group, because it was really hard. And yeah, I remember back then thinking that right now I will have to find a girlfriend or wife who also read this book. I will have to raise my children in this way, completely separated from the society, because everything in the society is bad. And and I was thinking things like this. So yeah, there were couple of interesting things that was inside of the book. One, for example, he said that human body evolved from the primates, like he was talking that evolution is real, unlike many religions. He was telling that human body evolved from the primates, but human soul not, and that human soul started to incarnate inside of these bodies when it was no longer animal and when it started to be more human, This with like 10 years later is like, I am not believing this, but this is in some way interesting idea. Or he had something with the galaxies. He was talking about this, like there is this source, God, and the God exploded and everything was going away from the God, but later it wanted to come back to the God, and that's how the galaxies got this spiral, look, that they were going away from the God. Eventually they wanted to come back, and it created this kind of spirals or something. But yeah. Luckily also for me, at the end of the book, I found out that he has more books, and I need to read all of the books, and I need to read them in the correct order, because as I said, if I am going to read his next book, but it is not going to be the one which is in the order, I will go automatically to hell, and so on. And I was unable to find this book online, or I was unable to find like the books that I could buy. I was only find some little PDFs and so on. So I was unable to follow his teachings because I needed to read all his books in the correct order, and I couldn't leave a single word without reading, and I didn't find the books, and yeah. Luckily, slowly this faded away. Then I got into new beliefs, into spirituality, and so on. The spirituality was also in some way belief for me, but not that hard as this one, and yeah. But what with like 10 years later, with the new perspective, I take this as a great experience, because I can understand what it is to be hard in the religion. Like Christianity and religion never gave me this kind of extreme strong ego of believing that I know the reality as this book. Like this book was for me 1,000 times stronger than Christianity, but I can understand what it's like to be like inside of this religious dogmatic box, and that you are not able to see reality more clearly, like when you have this, fanatics and so on. And also it taught me, but this took a lot of time for me, so it wasn't only this book, but partially also this book, and that's, I don't trust people, like spiritual people, spiritual gurus, or healers, or anyone who knows everything about the universe. I don't care what spiritual teacher it is. If someone is in a position that he or she knows everything, that's not for me. Because I have seen more people like this who knew everything, but they all said some kind of different story. So yeah. Right now I'm in the position that I realize that I don't know so many things about the universe, and it feel in some way extremely free, because I'm like, universe can be anything, universe can surprise me in so many ways, maybe there is afterlife, maybe not, and so on. So right now I am in this position of deeply realizing that I don't know, and it is probably also thanks to this book and other things later in my life that when you realized how many times you were wrong and how strongly you believed something which was bullshit basically, then later on in life you can become like, okay, I realize that I don't know, and I am way more mature. I am like way more, aware of these traps, how easily someone can get you with their beliefs. So yeah, I am right now very, very careful about religious people, spiritual people, or anything. But yeah. So yeah, this was my experience of reading very, very hard book. I don't recommend you to read it, but if you want to read a little bit, you may. But yeah, so you may share with me your own experience with something similar. Maybe ended up in some weird religious group or somewhere, or what helped you to get out of these places and so on. But yeah, this was just my experience. Take it just as an experience. Maybe you read this book and you love it and you still believe it. That's fine. I am not taking that away from you. But yeah. Thank you very much. I hope this was at least a little bit useful. And yeah. Take care. One more time, thank you. And goodbye.